Introducing the PDC World Darts Championship.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining the Fallout Bar Live with the conclusion of Day 9 of the Paddy Power World Darts Championship. It's me, Daniel Spedden, and I'm joined by our North American correspondent, Dave Connolly. How are you doing this evening, Dave?
Good, Daniel. Yeah, wrapping up the first round. It's been a long, winding road to get to this point, but another awesome day at the darts, and excited to break it down and kind of set the scene for round 2.
I'll tell you what, Dave, yesterday, I mean, what a day we had, but I think today really ran it close, if I'm honest. I think it was a brilliant day for the darts, some brilliant games, and we'll go through the specifics.
Absolutely.
So, starting off, we had Kevin Dukes with a victory, 3-1 over Matthew Dennant. What were your thoughts, mate? What did you think?
Yeah, I like the fight back that we saw from Kevin. I know he's had a bit of an underwhelming 2025. Yesterday on here we talked about Kevin's, really strong campaign at the Worlds last year. Thought it would maybe springboard him into a good 2025. Didn't really work out that way, but he showed. I didn't back him to win this match. I thought Dennett would maybe push him a little bit more, and when the going got tough, maybe Kevin would struggle a bit, but Dennett got that first set, and from there, Kevin really held himself together and put in a professional performance and ripped off 3 straight. So, I really liked what I saw from Kevin, and tough going for Matthew Dennett. I really thought after that first set he might have kicked on, and just wasn't quite there for him today. Yeah,
it felt like one of them games where Dukes was always doing a little bit more, but Dennett was just living with him. And then the doubling just ran out a little bit, and the class of Dukes seemed to get him through. So a great victory there.
Yep.
Going on to round 2, he's got the most famous Kenyan in the world. How do you see that going?
Yeah, and we saw Kevin say he almost gave himself the kiss of death in his press conference. He's like, "Oh, this is a dream draw." He's like, "You can't make it up better than this. I get to play, let's call it what it is, the worst player in the entire field probably in the second round." But man, the crowd is going to be so against him.
If he drops that first set,
oh man, it's going to be nuts. It's one of those things where, of course, you'd love to be in a situation in terms of the match, in terms of your opponent, but situationally, I don't want to be playing David Munya. I mean, the entire world is this was one of those storylines where if you go on X or any social media, it was beyond darts. This was, I don't know if it's as familiar in Europe, but in America, like Barstool, they don't post about the darts. They posted about this. Like the Republic of Kenya,
even the Kenyan president's getting involved. It's just ridiculous.
This is transcending darts at this point because it's such a historic, landmark that Munya put down yesterday. So yeah, I hope that doesn't backfire, him saying that, but he should breeze through and could get Nathan in the round 3. Leonard Gates, I think, could give Nathan a fight. We can talk about that,
We'll come on to Leonard shortly, definitely. And thank you as well, guys. We can see we've got a few comments coming in. Can't quite get them up on screen at the moment, but good evening, everyone watching, and thank you for commenting as we go over Day 9. So the next match that we then had Ryan Meikle versus Jesus Salati. 3-0 sweep for the Englishman there. What were your thoughts, Dave?
I was really disappointed in Jesus Salate's standard. I thought it would be much higher. I backed him yesterday to win. I thought he had a chance. Ryan's had a bit of an underwhelming year. He hasn't quite reached the levels we thought he might be able to. We obviously mentioned last year he had that really close first-round tie with Littler. He put in a solid performance. I didn't think Meikle was all over it. I didn't think he blew him out of the water in terms of his level of play. Solade just didn't meet him at any moments. And for someone who I believe he's won at least his last like 10 matches. I know the standard in South and Central America isn't the highest, but he was putting up good averages, something we talked about last night, putting in good averages against guys who were averaging in the 60s and 70s, which is hard to do because they're not, you're not getting any boost from losing legs. Like your average, you're the one holding up your average. You're not getting the legs, getting to the end with not throwing at doubles, and it's holding you up a little bit. So, I was really disappointed in Solade's performance. He never really threatened the match at all. But credit to Ryan. He's got to show up. He's still got to win the match, and he handled his business. True pro performance.
I think he had in that second set, he averaged around 100 in the second set from memory. I mean, we are going back a few hours, so we've seen a little glimpse there of potential, but it could be a case that he just got dragged down by the standard of the game as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
He could breeze through that. We've got Bobby's just Bob there. Practice game for me, disappointing game. I completely agree. And he's got a favourable second round draw as well. Not too much to worry about there, but the third round, I wouldn't fancy him against Hood or Noppert, if I'm honest there. I think that could be a difficult match.
Yeah, either one. That's a good point, because obviously he'll be a huge dog against Noppert, but I don't know if I fancy him against Justin Hood. Justin Hood's been playing pretty solid stuff. So,
I mean, that first round performance as well, for the first time on the Ali Pali stage, he really showed no nerves at all. That was brilliant.
Nick Kenny averaged 93, and didn't feel like he was in it at any point. It didn't feel like a 93 just because of the standard that Hood was putting on that stage at the time.
His scoring was phenomenal as well. The next match that we had, this one, I'm sure we'll go nice and in depth on. I think we had a 33 dart winning leg in there. Mickey Mansell versus Leonard Gates, the North American correspondent. What did you make of your countryman?
Leonard is such a up and down player. He will have spells where he is playing like, you're like, this guy should have a tour card. He's unbelievable. I know he's on the older side, but he has spells where he is playing like probably the best qualifier in the field. I mean, it's ridiculous, some of these spells he went on to win some of these sets. And then he'll have others where he's not even hitting the 20. He's leaking into the 1 and the 5, or his switches are hitting 3s and 7s. And so his doubling will go right. He had that wicked spell, I believe it was through the second and third set, where he just could not figure it out on double 12. He missed a bunch at double 12 in this match. And then he banged one in, and it kind of kicked him back on. So the thing that works for Leonard is he knows how to stay in that fun atmosphere. He's not one of those players, and I mentioned this yesterday and why I thought it might work in his favor. He is not one of those players who just switches on. That dancing, that fun, that hollering when he hits a big dart, that's all throughout. He doesn't just lock into the board. He's still engaging. When he's walking back after his visit, he's looking at the crowd, he's engaging. And I think that works in his favor because the crowd, as you saw today, they just eat him up. They love him. So, I don't think Mickey played horrible. He wasn't his best, but he had some bad spells. But he had some moments where you can see, you're like, okay, this is he looks better. And then there was some where he just couldn't keep up with Leonard. So, I'm seeing now 83 average. I didn't think Mickey was that bad from what I saw.
There's a lot of missed doubles in there. Yeah. I mean, I think Leonard Gates, was it 20 plus 140s he hit? His scoring was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just really struggled on that outer ring.
Yeah. Yeah. And he got to, 36 doubles versus 21 for Mansell. I mean, if you're going to get 15 fewer doubles than your opponent, you need to be clinical if you're going to win the match. And 9 for 21 isn't the worst, but it's not enough when you're getting to almost half as many doubles as your opponent. So credit for Leonard. I picked him with my little bit of bias yesterday, so I'll be happy with that. But he'll have to up it if he wants to go any further. He has to put in a full performance, and especially if he can get to the next round, if he can somehow get past the ASP, that longer format may not suit him because I think he just struggles to put it together for a full match.
Do you think playing someone like Aspinall might actually be of benefit? Mansell, I don't think he deliberately does it, but he plays at a very slow pace. And I just felt like that was stopping Gates getting in a bit of a rhythm. I feel like Gates, if he's up against the Asp and they're both 180, ton plus checkouts, we might really see the best of him there.
Yeah, and I think these guys that have these personalities, like they want to play each other. I don't think they want to play against someone boring because it's just kind of one-way traffic. You're not really yelling at anything if you hit something big. Like you saw it with the Asp just now playing Lawrence. Lawrence was giving it a little bit, and then you could tell Nathan was like freaking out to give it right back. He wanted to do anything he could, and you saw when he hit that big fish, he was all over. And part of that you could tell was because of how Lawrence was reacting when he won the first set, when he hit some other big darts. So, yeah, there's going to be some fireworks. I'm hoping it isn't one-way traffic, because if one guy just doesn't show up, which obviously would more likely be Leonard, then, we're not maybe going to get the fireworks we hope. But if it's just back and forth, if maybe Leonard picks the first set, that could get really, really fun just in terms of their personalities both showing.
And if we go kind of hypothetical, looking at a larger scale of things, so to speak, if Gates was to find a way to defeat the Asp, do you think that can have a ripple effect on North American darts and just everything across the pond? How do you think that will play out?
Absolutely. I think I was a little discouraged with how, and I like I said, I've said this a lot, but I mentioned it on Monday, maybe. Before Savada won, the North America, specifically, I believe it was just the U.S., because I believe Campbell's the only Canadian in the field, were 0-3, and none of them looked close. Bunce and Spellman were just not quite where we thought they would be. They didn't play to their own standard for sure. And then Savada rocks up, does beat a fellow North American, but played some really good stuff. And Leonard was, he had some struggles on the doubles and some down spells, but man, when he was on it and almost unplayable. And that's all you have to do for 3 sets, and then you can walk away with it like he did. So yeah, if he can beat Nathan Aspinall, that would be really exciting. And I think the sport is only growing more and more in North America. I think the struggle is it's not. I'm 26, so people my age maybe not quite as into it. A lot of these guys are established with families. They're 35, 40 plus, and they just can't. They're so established here, they can't afford to leave their wife, kids behind to go venture out and get a tour card. I mean, Damon Head is a good example. In the past, he's really had to convince his wife, and they don't even have any children. So that's how hard it can be if you don't have any children. If you have children, family, extended family, and established life, it's really hard to just pack up and go try to get a tour card. So yeah, this might be the path forward, is just this generation, these older guys winning, and then maybe inspiring a younger generation, my age, even younger, to make that leap before they establish anything here. But yeah, I mean, the more the merrier into the second round and beyond when it comes to North Americans, at least in my perspective.
I do think with Gates as well, set play really suits the style. He can go missing for a few legs, but to an extent, you can get away with that. If you can string together 40 brilliant darts, you can have a set on the board. And as long as Gates can solve his outer ring issues, I think we could see a little bit of that against the Asp. It could be a really exciting game, and I would see the crowd really, really enjoying that one.
I mean, only one set went to a decider. That's just kind of how he operates. I mean, he won the 2 sets that Mickey won. He won 1 leg.
Yeah.
That kind of says it all. I don't have the tally right in front of me, but he may have won less legs and won the match. So, that's pretty staggering. So it's just going to come down to consistency, because if he has a bad spell and it mixes with Nathan having a really good spell, could get ugly quick. So
could get away. I think in that one, the opening set is going to set the tone. I think if Asp gets off to a quick start, it could quickly get away from him. But we'll leave that for another night for the guys doing predictions. So wrapping up the afternoon session, we had Josh Rock versus Gemma Hayter in 3-1 victory for the Rock. Gemma Hayter didn't do herself any harm there. I thought she put in a really good performance.
Yeah, she was poor for her standard out of the gate, and she'll tell you that. She was not competitive, and I think it's easy for us to maybe think that's just the standard of the case because Rock was such an overwhelming favorite. But Gemma's pumping in like mid 80s averages on the women's tour. She's a player, and that first set was not very kind to her. A little bit better in the second set, but still didn't go her way. And then in the third set, we really saw what she's capable of. Josh is still one of those players, and he's still one of those players that has a very wide range of outcomes. When he's off, it's not. It used to be for maybe a whole match or even longer. Now it's just for a few legs, which is great to see because I think he's becoming more consistent as he gets older. But he'll still have that span where he'll average. I mean, I believe third set he averaged like mid to low 80s.
Yeah, he really
which is just a little concerning for deeper into the tournament. But man, he was blowing her out of the water when he got to his ceiling game. He's such a fun player to watch when he's in that slot, firing them in there, and he's just all over. Like he's the most satisfying player to watch when he already has two in the triple, in my opinion. Because he's just all over it with that third dart. So, it was a little shaky towards the end. I don't think I'd ever got to a point where I was questioning whether he would win or not. Maybe he did. But yeah, I think they both flattered themselves with these performances. I think that they were both solid. Gemma maybe just wishes she got off to a better start.
Yeah, we've got a couple of comments here. One from Bobby's Just Bob. That would be Josh Rock's worst performance. Think he felt a different kind of pressure that he wasn't used to playing Gemma, who played some good legs and enjoyed the experience. Yeah, it was really great to see Gemma. I don't want to see her not take herself too seriously because obviously she had a great season on the women's tour. But going into that one, I think she knew she was the underdog.
Yeah.
But seeing her having fun with the crowd when she was going off, it was really good to see. And as I say, I don't think she's done her reputation any harm at all.
No.
In that, and Josh. Oh, sorry, go on, Dave.
If she got off to a stronger start, and then had that little burst she had in the third set, and was playing someone else, she proved to me that she could win a match at the Worlds if she's back next year. If she gets the right draw, 100% could win a match.
I mean, in current form, you can't get many worse draws than Josh Rock. I mean,
absolutely.
You could argue he's been unlucky not to win a big title this season. He tends to just put them into one of the Lukes or a Gezi and someone like that. But if he had a bit more luck, he could have easily won a major. He's been in absolutely brilliant form. And I think that was just a little bit of a run out for him. I think he probably didn't expect it to be as tight as it was. And I think when it mattered, we just seen that treble 20 start to get battered a little bit more. I think there were a couple of combination finishes in there where the double top got struck first dart as well. And he just done enough to get over the line.
And to take a sneaky peek ahead, I actually didn't notice this until now.
Go on.
Both will probably one will be an overwhelming favorite. Josh Rock has Joe Comato next. Daryl Gurney has Callan Ridds. If both win, they would play each other in the third round. World Cup teammates. That probably stinks for both of them. That's exciting, but that sucks. That really sucks for both of them because whoever wins that might feel worse than whoever lost.
You know what? We'll come on to Daryl Gurney in a little bit, but I think that could be a real tasty match for round 3. I would love to see that.
Absolutely.
And we've got a comment there from Daly Atkinson. Hayter would have beat Chisnell, in my opinion. I completely agree.
Yeah, Chizzy. Oh, man.
After Chizzy's
real lucky.
Yeah. So moving into the evening session, we had, which I think was the performance of the first round. Willie O'Connor versus Shook 3-0. And what a performance from the Magpie.
Highest average of the tournament, I believe, so far. That was unbelievable. He's been... I said yesterday, and I keep going. I just want to go back to my predictions just to frame what I was expecting going in. And there's just something about Willie, and I know he's shown it in the past. He has this ceiling that players at the level of the tour where he's at, a lot of them don't have it, and he has it. He I would not be bewildered if he went and beat someone really notable later in this tournament, because I just think we all expect when he's on, his throw is so smooth. He looks so locked in. He's got the blinkers on. You know, he didn't really give any sort of celebration until he won that set, and then he won all 3 sets and then won the match. But he looks really hungry, really focused. I know he's a very intense, serious guy when he's on the board. I think he is starting to work on channeling that towards a positive, focused energy, because we've seen the eye rolling, the negative energy. When things aren't going his way, he can be his worst enemy. And this was convincing. And it stinks for Kachuk. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm trying to remember.
I thought it was Shuk, but I
Shuk, it might be
wrong there. Please correct us in the comments.
Yes,
Let us
please.
know, please.
Yeah. He just never looks settled, and I just think at the end of the day, if you're him, you played the best player in the tournament. It happens. Sorry, like there's not much you can do. He didn't egg him on to play well. It's the nature of the game, and you just try to rock back up next year, and maybe you get more lucky. But yeah,
some days it's just not your day, and that was a
Absolutely.
bad little day to be Shuk, unfortunately.
Yeah, what a
next
story.
round tie for Willie O'Connor. Speaking of, he can take a few scalps. Michael van Gerwen. After the first round performances, I really can't wait to see the bookies odds on this one.
I was so excited, and I think we all were after MVG's comments yesterday. Everyone's looking at that third round. MVG, Peter Wright. Give me it. I don't know if we're going to get it. I really don't. And I am fascinated to see, like you said, what the bookies come up with for this one, because if you're giving me Willie like 2-1, I don't think he'll be 2-1. I think he'll be shorter.
Yeah, I don't think after all you.
I'll take it. I'll take it for sure.
But I just hope because I feel like Van Gerwen, obviously it was not anywhere near the Michael van Gerwen we expect to see. Just, I mean, he's not prime Van Gerwen anymore, but we still expect more than we've seen in the first round. I just hope Willie's not beaten before he steps on that stage there.
Yeah.
I hope he goes in thinking, I've just put in the performance of my lifetime. I'm here to play, and goes out and really gives it a go, because I think we could be in for a real treat in round 2 there if that's the case.
And I'm curious with Willie. Like I said, just the mentality thing is my one. I've said the same thing about Jermaine Watamena. Like, the mentality thing is great when they're on, and that's why you get these performances out of both of them. But when they're off, you can tell they're beating themselves up there. And so I just wonder how important that first set becomes against MVG, because if he goes down a set, maybe goes down 2 sets or goes down 2-1, is he going to be able to handle that and get out of his own way and stay focused and use the intensity and the energy in a positive manner? But yeah, what performance of the tournament by average and just by the eye test, he looked incredible.
It was absolutely phenomenal stuff. And then we had the absolute treat to watch, probably my favorite game of the round 1, I would say, Daryl Gurney versus Bo Greaves. The Northern Irishman was victorious 3-2. Well, that was just a real treat. I really, really enjoyed that. I don't think either player was really at the rear game, but we had a few glimpses of quality in there, I think, Dave. What about you?
Yeah. In any sport, when you get a draw, football, darts, anything, and you see that one mouth-watering match, that one tie that you're so excited to watch, a lot of times it lets you down. It's never quite up to that standard that it gets, especially when the draw is, 2-3 weeks before the match. You can get so hyped up, and then it becomes a letdown. This was one of those instances where that was not the case. This was as advertised. It was so fun to watch. Bo was really shaky to start. She was missing low, and the way her darts sit, it was really starting to piss her off, you could tell. And then she just kicked on and was banging in trebles. She had a 10-darter that the little score bug on the bottom said 9 darters. So I think I'm sure some people less informed on darts were really excited when that went and not realizing that was a 10-darter. But yeah, you could see the quality, and I just think it came down to nerves. And the one thing I'll say about Daryl that I was saying to a few of my buddies after that match, he has shown so much clutch gene in the back half of this year, from the World Cup final, where he hit so many clutch doubles to help them win. Because you'll get the stats. I think Josh averaged like 110 in that match. He was unconscious with the scoring. But there were some huge doubles that Daryl, one dart in hand, was able to hit dead center. And then that 144 tonight that he hit against Bo, that's the checkout of the tournament. I don't know.
I think it just broke her heart, that one, didn't it?
It did. It would break anyone. I don't blame her. I think it would break anyone's heart. Any of the Lukes, MVG, any of the experience. So, you know, good on her. She played incredible. I believe she won more legs than he did. He pulled something out of a hat at the end. And the one thing is, he did get a lot of pokes.
He was threatening. He was going two trebles into
I was going to say, he was getting
often,
looks at the double, and it just felt like one of those was eventually going to go, and it just went at such a poor time for her. Good on her. If her head's down, someone's got to grab her chin and pull it up, because she was unbelievable today.
So a question on Bo, because she's obviously going to be on the tour this year. What do you think her ceiling is, playing on the tour regularly? I mean, it's a very difficult question, because there's a lot of ifs and buts in there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hate it, because I don't want to put too much pressure on her, because the thing people are always saying is, oh, you know, she's a woman, like, we don't want to put too much pressure on her as a pioneer. The thing that gets lost in the details is that she's 21 years old. At that point, gender does not matter. She's 21. She's so young. So I mean, I want to say top 32, because like I've said about other international qualifiers, is that their seasonal average looks lower because they're playing inferior opponents. She's playing against other women who are averaging low 80s, high 70s. When she starts rocking up against men averaging low 90s, mid 90s, she's going to be right there. She's going to be with them. And she just showed that today. So I think she has if she can keep her head on straight, which she's shown, she's like the most cool head ever. I think she could be top 32. I really do.
I completely agree. I was having this conversation with a good friend earlier on, and he disagreed, but I said I think she could crack the top 32. I think it's going to be a difficult transition for the first 6 months, because she's went from being dominant, and she's going to have to learn to lose a little bit.
Yep.
But I think there's just going to be a spell where it's just going to click like a light bulb. And then we're really going to see some great performances out of her. I don't want to call them upsets, but the media will. But I think we're really going to see some big performances. And I'm glad to see it as well. I think it's brilliant to see for darts.
I would love to see in one of those first maybe 8 to 10 Players' Championship events, just her make one deep run, just to get her settled. Just make one quarter, win a board, you know, get to a quarter, maybe a semi. Maybe she'll take one down, like, you know, so that would be awesome. But I just want to see her make one deep run in one of those, just to get her settled. And maybe that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be, like you said, she's just going to click on. The light bulb will turn on, you know, the pressure washes away, because there were times you could tell watching her up there, she looked more uncomfortable than Daryl. She just didn't look settled.
She needs that big stage experience. I think that's the clear thing that's lacking. And if she can get that mental side of the game down, we know she's a winner. We know she can play unbelievable darts. I can see really big things. Just having a look at a couple of the comments here. Bob is just Bob. It will take a few months before she settles in, and will be in the end of the year before she... Yeah, I can see that, Bob. There's going to be a bit of a transition period. From Bobsy25, she will keep her tour card after 2 years and will be a top 64 player after 1 year. I can certainly see that.
I mean, yeah, and the Greatest Showman said if the Lukes miss all the pro tours, which I know they were saying of doing, but even along those lines, one of those pro tours after maybe a big event where a lot of the top 16 don't show up, who's to say, like, give me someone outside of the top 16 that she would be a big underdog against, that she would not be able to hold her own against or pinch one off, especially in a lot of these Players' Championships. They're first to 6 up until the semis. They're I don't want to say they're random, because they're not, but random things happen. We see really weird.
You pull that 10 dart leg out against the throw.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. You have the darts. Here you go. Just hold and you're into the next round. So she has the ceiling where if she's just on for one afternoon, she could win one of those. And you win one of those, and when you're coming from nothing and you're not defending anything, you're going right up the rankings.
No, absolutely. Moving on to the victor, Daryl Gurney, Callan Ridds in the next round. That could be a fun little match up there.
Yeah.
Northeast versus Northern Ireland. Well, how can we see that one playing out?
Yeah, Daryl mentioned that Cowan's been playing pretty well, and he sounded could have just been being nice and kind of going off the positive adrenaline he had, right? Because it was right after he had won the match tonight, but he sounded like he was giving Cowan his flowers, and Cowan's one of those players in that section of the kind of that Willie O'Connor area of the order of merit, a little bit lower, but when he's on, I mean, we saw it last year on his run to I believe he made the quarterfinal. There's a run out of this match where he is unplayable because Daryl just doesn't have the ceiling that Cowan has. When Cowan's on, his ceiling's way higher than Daryl's. He could put in a ton average. And Daryl, yes, is doubling his clutch. He's not going to get to a double in half the legs they're playing.
No, I think this is Ridge, this is Gurney. It's
100%.
And hopefully they will meet somewhere in the middle and we get a real back and forth battle.
Absolutely.
Is what I would love to see for that one there. So then we moved on to another brilliant match. We were really spoiled in this afternoon session. Nathan Aspinall versus Lawrence Alagan. Sorry. Did he poke the bear with that celebration after the first set?
I don't know. Yeah, we saw Nathan have some choice words for him after that set. And I don't think Nathan's not one of those characters who needs winding up in order to give it. I think that's just who he is. He would have done that against anyone. It doesn't help to wind him up for sure. Again, we saw when he hit that fish at the very end, he was letting a lot out. It's a big fish at Worlds to win the match. Like, I think he would have done that regardless, but it definitely looked like it meant a little bit more. I think Alagan was just getting on his nerves a little bit. And because Lawrence has a bit of a kind of underlying swagger, the way he gets the darts and quickly walks away, and he hits something and he's pointing to his people and he's fired up and giving it a shout. So it seemed like it got under Nathan's skin a little bit. I don't really know why. It didn't seem like he was doing anything to intentionally get under Nathan's skin, but it seemed to have. So yeah, not the guy whose skin I want to get under, but I thought Lawrence looked really good, and I thought he had a shot to win this thing, and it just didn't quite go his way. And Nathan just kicked into that burst, that ceiling that he shows in almost every match at some point. And Lawrence he doesn't have that, and it just became a little too much for him.
I feel like Lawrence is one of them players you watch, and because of that swagger and a pizzazz that he has, when you judge him just purely on eye test alone, your eyes give him an extra 5 points on the average, just because he's so fun to watch. He obviously has really flat darts. If he goes above, it's really difficult to adjust. But it just feels fun watching Lawrence average 80 compared to some of the other first round qualifiers that we've had.
Yeah, he plays at a not fast, but not a slow pace. I like his throw. He's got a little bit of personality to him. And he probably has the levels to be a lower end, like fringe tour card holder. And I'm assuming it's a resource thing, being from the Philippines, why he isn't on the tour. But yeah, he's been such a mainstay. I mean, he's 47. He is who he is. I don't think he's going to get any better or worse than anytime soon. But he'll always be that player that, whether it's Worlds or any other tournament, you don't want to get in it with him in a draw, because if your B game shows up, I mean, Nathan's B game is a little higher than most. So today I would say was his B game, and he was able to get away with it. But even with Nathan, who's a top 10 player in the world, his B game showed up and it was hairy. So imagine anyone else who drew him. I mean, Lawrence is probably beating a majority of the field with his performance today, and it just didn't quite work out for him. But yeah, I think he made himself look pretty good despite the loss.
And as well, we absolutely have to talk about how that match ended. The Asp with the big fish, he reeled it in. I was absolutely buzzing to see a 170 and see a game end like that. A little bit of me wanted that fifth set as well, just for the excitement. But
Absolutely.
that's where that top 10 in the world caliber, you really see it in the moments like that, isn't it? That's where the difference is made.
Yeah. Yeah. And for Lawrence, that's got to be so frustrating because he left. It's not the most doable finish, especially like you said, with the way his darts lie. But the Shanghai, he was sitting on it, and I thought he's going to get a crack because there's 170, and then that second triple went in, and you're like, he's going to do it, isn't he? And he banged it right in, and you know, credit to him because that's the kind of stuff when you're maybe not at your A game. We saw it with Daryl, the same thing with that 144. When you have the ability to hit these large, I mean, we're not talking, when I say ton plus, we're not talking 130 or under where you just need one treble. These big 131 plus finishes, it's always this get out of jail free card is what it feels like. It's just this ability to say, hey, you played, you know, maybe better in this set or better in this match, but screw you, take this and shove it up yours, and I win the match. So yeah, that's basically what he did, because if that went to a fifth, you would favor Nathan, but anything can happen in a race to three. With all these guys, a race to three feels almost like a coin flip.
I mean, it's almost like with these top players, and I'm not putting it down to looking anywhere, but the better you are, the luckier you are, and the more consistently you pull them get out of jail free shots out. It's, you know, there's a reason the top 10 in the world, they have a B game, a C game, and they still find a way to get out victorious somehow.
Absolutely.
And he's playing your fellow countryman in the next round, which I really think could be a fun game. I think Asp will come through, if I'm honest, but I really hope we get a good performance from Leonard Greaves and we see some magic.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nathan will rightfully get through. Yeah, we've spoken about Leonard. If Leonard has his, you know, A+ game, if he's in the 90s, could give Nathan some trouble. But again, even if he's in the 90s, because Lawrence was for a majority, and I think he finished at 90, it's still, Nathan still has that finishing and some of the power scoring. When he really gets into that slot on the red bit, it's unplayable at times. So yeah, he's one of those few players who on his day unplayable, and that
if he can get his end of legs down and he's doubling there,
yeah,
he can trouble the Lukes.
When he's throwing 12 darters on throw. Yeah, good luck hitting a 9, Leonard, to win your leg. Like, it's just not, you know, he's one of those few players that has that ceiling, and I think we could see maybe more of that in the next round.
So moving on to the final game of the evening, we had Keane Barry, and I'll make sure I definitely put my teeth in before I say this one, versus Tim Pucci. 3-0 victory for Barry, railing off 9 of the last 10 legs. What did you think of it? Because I thought 2 legs in, I was like, Pucci's here to play. He looked really solid. Barry looked a bit erratic. He was spraying it around a little bit, but it's the difference between being in that top 64 and not, I think, is what we've seen this evening, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I'm going to call him Tim so that I can extend myself another invitation on this show and not get kicked off forever in case of a mispronunciation. But he came out to his walk-on, looked loose, was going on with the crowd, didn't look like a debutant. Like you said, wins the first 2 legs. I'm texting some buddies like, he's going to win the set. Like, should we take him live to win the match? Like, he doesn't look like this is his first time. Keane looked, the thing with Keane is he doesn't give anything away. The way he operates, he's very stoic. He walks up, he throws, he doesn't celebrate much. And so it's hard to get a read off of how he's operating, how he's feeling. And then he wins 9 of 10 legs, and Tim is completely buried. But I really thought we were going to get more of a match based on those opening 2 legs. But yeah, that's just the difference with a tour card holder versus a qualifier. Is I think that's like the epitome of what you see, especially in these opening rounds where he can just kick on at any time. I mean, I think it's just because of how I perceived the match so early, it just didn't feel like a 93 out of Keane, but it was just so consistent. He was just pumping in, 15 dart legs, like a lot around that. And he only threw 180, given they only played 12 legs. But just clinical stuff. I don't think I feel any higher or lower on Keane going forward. But yeah, good on him. The one area I think I feel a little bit better about him is it was good composure, because I'm not a professional darts player, but I think most people would have been rattled when a qualifier comes on stage really loose, takes the first two legs, including one off your throw. I'd be there like, oh man, what am I getting myself into? So yeah, good on him.
It could have went really, really wrong at that stage. Just looking at a couple of comments, we've got Bobsy25. Keane Barry played really well and he wasn't under any pressure. It was like a training session for him. After the first set, I would maybe agree, but when he was 2-0 down, I think he looked like he might have been in a little bit of bother. And we've got Bob is just Bob. Barry played like a 32 to 64 ranked player. Solid, but not spectacular.
Yeah, I agree.
Bob,
professional performance.
You've done our job for us there. I think that is a perfect summary of that one. So before we move on to tomorrow's games, that brings us to the end of round one. Obviously, we've seen the field expanded to 128 players. We've now got a data pool to kind of have an opinion on that. What do you think of it being expanded? And how do you feel about round one?
I think it was the easy answer when it got expanded, especially with some names that even hardcore darts fans, myself, I'm sure you as well, few names that I didn't recognize or maybe have seen play for the first or second time. And it's easy to quickly say, the easy narrative is, oh, the standard is going to be so poor and we're going to see so much bad darts. I loved it. And a story like David Munya that's how you're going to make it better. Like maybe we're going to pay for the next 3 to 5 years of a lower standard in the opening round, but that may pay it forward. And now we're going to get a lot more really solid players out of Africa, really solid players out of Asia, really solid players out of North America, and growing the game beyond just its European roots. Because it's the World Darts Championship. It's not the European Championship. It's the World Darts Championship. And the deeper these intercontinental players go, the better it's going to get, the more fun it's going to be. And yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fun. You get this every year, but just seeing, different cultures, different continents represented on the biggest stage. It was a ton of fun. And I feel like there were just, maybe the last 2 days have me blinded. There just weren't that many stinkers. There were some, but there weren't that many. There was a lot of fun. Even the qualifiers, that underdogs that lost, a lot of them put up a fight and maybe took at least a set or made at least a set important or close. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, completely agree. I think as darts fans, we're coming up in January, we'll have the Premier League starting. Mm-hmm. You've got your Littlers, your top 8 in the world hitting 105 averages on your screen every week, and you start to kind of take it for granted a little bit that that's the standard and forget how truly exceptional that is. But I think the best thing about round one of the World Darts Championship, I always think there's kind of two stanzas to the World Darts Championship. There's the fun part before Christmas where we get the stories like David Munya, we get the upsets, and then there's the serious business after Christmas. And I think that expansion to 128, it's been brilliant. I think we'll get some really good round two ties out of it as well. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. We might see the odd power game here and there, but I would vote to keep it every day of the week. And as you see it, different territories around the world. Imagine, I can't say it, but imagine if Munya makes a quarterfinal. It's not going to happen. But if we get a story like that, the knock-on effect and the ripple effect that can have in that part of the world when it comes to darts, I think it's truly brilliant.
100%. And it's fun to get these seeded players on the same level as everyone else in the field, all starting at the same point, here you are. Like, yeah, you're seated protected. You might get a little bit easier of a draw or a match, but you still have to win the same amount of games. You still have to play, a tricky qualifier. And we saw, I don't have the exact number. I think it's 6, maybe 7 seeds get knocked out in the first round. So it's working.
There's quite a few that survived a few scrapes as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's perfect. And I think you can maybe look at the methods of qualification and mess around with those. I know they do that every year, but I think the 128. I didn't feel like I was watching, a poorer standard than years past.
No, I completely agree. So we'll move on till tomorrow now. We'll talk about some games that are happening. We'll probably end on the game that's not happening as well and have a little bit of a summary of that. So starting the day off at 12:40, Ryan Searle versus Brendan Dolan. We're in round 2. It's good to see. What would your predictions be for that one?
Oh man. I'm gonna reluctantly back Ryan Searle. I love Ryan Searle. I love his throw. I love his demeanor. He's one of those players, and there's a handful of them. You get deeper into these important tournaments and you just get scared to back them because they just never can quite. I'm a huge Damon Hedda fan. Similar story there. There's just a few of these guys where I don't know if it's a nerves thing. I'm going to back Ryan reluctantly. I'll go Searle 3-1. He's lucky he's got Brendan because Brendan's playing some of the worst darts he's played in a long time in the past year or so. And he's, really teetering around that top 32. I know he's just slipped outside. So, I'll take Ryan 3-1 here.
I am going to see it. Ryan Searle 3-0. I think he's got it in there. We can see 100+ average out of Ryan Searle. He does have a banana skin in him as well, but I don't think we're going to get that at this level. So I'm going to go 3-0. What have we got in the chat? Bobsy 25. Got Searle 3-1. It's mostly Ryan Searle. Bob is just Bob. Brendan 3-2. He picks up his game tomorrow. So we'll get off to a flyer there. Apologies to the chat as well if it's not as interactive as usual. I am not the one and only Dan Simpson, so we are figuring this out on the fly. So just apologies to the viewers there as well. But I think other than Bob is just Bob, we're almost unanimously going with a Ryan Searle victory there. And to do it in style as well. But I'm the only one that's going to see it'll be a whitewash.
Yeah, there's the last thing I guess I'll say is there's a lot of seeds below Ryan that I don't want to say scare me, but put a little bit more fear into me than Ryan. I think Brendan will go into this. He's not going to be intimidated. He's seen a lot. He played well in his opener, I think better than most expected. So there's no intimidation here that Ryan can rely on. He's just going to have to beat him, which like you said, he can once in a while have a rough go at it, but I'll reluctantly back him.
We've got a couple more there. Stockport Mackham, nice one for watching, Dad. Searle 3-1. And Bob is just Bob. I am from Ireland, so I have to back Brendan. You live a few miles away. Fair enough. You've got to back your own Bob. We understand that. Second match of the day. I mean, this is probably what nobody expected at all, but what a game this is. Harrison versus Sakai. Oh my word, what a game that is.
Jeez. Oh God.
I'll go first on this one.
Give me a second.
Right, where do we start? Can Sakai do that again? I'm going to edge Harrison just for his experience, but I'm going to see it's 3-2 sudden death.
I think almost Sakai's antics, that's maybe a little bit of a harsh word. His playfulness pulled away from how well he played. He was good. I know I'm looking, it says 87 average. Tricol didn't do him any favors in terms of making his average look, decent. Sakai showed something. He had some spells where he looked like a real player. Oh man. I'm gonna go with Matomo Sakai. I think he can. I don't know if he's just doing it all for show or if he really isn't fazed too much by the big moment. I know he actually the one thing we didn't see from him that we saw from Andreas is how does he deal with those big moments? Because Sakai was never in a big moment. He steamrolled him. He was never in a pressured situation, other than a few, close calls at the end of sets. But I'll go with Sakai. I'm going to take him. I don't know how you pick this other than 3-2.
You're going against the grain there, Dave. We have Bobsy, Dirty Harry, 3-1. Harrison, 3-2. A lot of Harrisons. Everyone's got Sakai picking up a set or two, but I mean, it could be apps. Oh, Bob is just Bob. Just to prove me wrong there, Bob. Thank you very much. Sakai, 3-2. We throw some straight darts, and Harrison will miss doubles. I'm just really excited for that game. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, one of the few matchups where probably, like you said, the opposite. We expected the inverse matchup. We expected Ross Smith and Thibault Tricol, and this is what happens.
Moving on to the next one, we have Dirk van Dijvenbode versus James Harrell. What are we thinking for this one, Dave?
I think it's so easy. I'm not picking James, but it's so easy to just say Dirk, easy. Dirk's just one of those guys where if the scoring isn't there, he's not a very reliable finisher. It could get dicey for him. But man, if his scoring's there, this could be like a 20-minute match. Like this could get really bad. So I'm going to take Dirk. He's been really working on his game. Another player, like mentioned earlier, where the negative mentality can sometimes get the better of him. He's not one of those guys that I'm excited to back if he drops the first. I could see him really starting to get, he gets into the break and he's really getting in his own head. And then even worse, he loses the second and then they go into another break and now he's really upset. So that's my only concern here is if maybe the scoring isn't there right away. But yeah, you can't not take him. I'll go 3-1 Dirk here.
I feel like with Dirk, as soon as he does one thing right in the match, that's go time. That's it. He will kick on and accelerate from there. So I think it could be a bit of a shaky start. I think he might even drop the first set.
Yeah.
But I think he'll get the score and go on, and from there, I think we could see him rattle off 9 out of the next 10 legs, something along them lines, and wrap it up pretty quickly. So I'm going to see a 3-1 to Dirk. I think the chat is pretty much in agreement with us there. Bobsy, Dirk, 3-0 whitewash, 100+ average. James, Dirk, 3-1. Daly Atkinson, Dirk, 3-0. Bob is just Bob. DVD, 3-0, pumped up with a ton+ average. And Stockport Mackin, Dirk, 3-2. I think it's going to be a bit of a tight affair there. We've then got Dave Chisnell versus Pikachu. So I'll start with this one. I think this could be a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. I think this could very easily be Pikachu averaging lower 90s, 3-0 sweep. I would love Chizzy to prove us wrong, because I really love to watch Chizzy, and as much as that action is awful, when he's flown, it's brilliant to watch. But I think Pikachu 3-0 for me. I think he'll just be too clean, too efficient, and just tidy up when he needs to.
I'm fascinated that, at least where I'm looking, and I know we have different bookies because of where we live, that they have this at basically a pick 'em. They're both at about even. I would love to hear anyone in the chat who is backing Dave Chisnell to win this match. I know Ricardo isn't the most convincing tour card holder to face. He's not very fearful, but I don't know how you back Chizzy. He's one of the least deserving winners of the first round. Just Fallon just no-showed on the outer ring. I have to go Ricardo. I'm going to go Ricardo 3-0. I think Chizzy's just we talked. I'm sure you saw his press conference after the match. He sounded like he was wishing to get back into form, not like he was doing anything about it to fix his throw or his mentality. He
sounded like a man just hoping it will.
Yeah, he's like, I hope it comes back. What? Get to a sports psychiatrist. Get with a throw coach.
Like if you compare that to the Scott Williams interview about dartitis, whether he's right or wrong, but the mindset difference
it's
there,
way different.
yeah.
And so if something's wrong, and maybe now is not the time to do it in the middle of the World Championships, maybe you save it for the quieter time of the year, like January. But he's had the whole year to really work on this, and it seems like it's gotten worse. I mean, that third dart it's hard to watch sometimes. So I'm going to go Ricardo 3-0.
I think the chat is pretty much in agreement. Bobsy 3-0. Chizzy was looking to get through his first round game. Daly Atkinson, Pikachu 3-1, and that's being generous. Stockport Mackham, Pikachu 3-0. James, Pikachu 3-2. Daly Atkinson, I've put £20 on Pikachu, lol. Let us know what you spend with the winnings. And Bob is just Bob. Pikachu 3-1 with a 93. You know what, Bob? You can just sit here and do it because you're just getting everything bang on in my eyes tonight. I completely agree with that. 93 average, low 90s. And that will be more than enough for the whitewash. So that takes us to the evening session. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Michael Smith versus Zonneveld first up. And I think looking at the bookies that we have here, that's pretty much a pick 'em as well. I'll let you go first on that one, Dave, because that's a real tricky one.
Yeah. Niels has had I didn't even notice this until I looked recently. He's had a quietly solid year on the floor.
Yeah.
He's got 2 quarterfinals, 3 semis, and then he made a final in PC 22. So his game is there. This isn't his first rodeo at Worlds, so he's got some experience. Tour card holder. Like he's kind of checking all the boxes where I'm recently much more reluctant to back Michael Smith for obvious reasons, form, and he's got the injuries. Worlds is a
tough time,
and Worlds is I know we're not at any longer formats yet. I know this is still best of 5, but it's a long format. You got to win 9 legs, and I just worry if this goes to a 5th set, is Michael Smith gonna be going up to get his darts and he's starting to limp a little bit? Is he going to start kind of losing it a little bit and start getting in his own head? Something I think he's mostly a positive thinker, but it's hard not to. I know how much Worlds means to him. He had one of the most genuine reactions when he ended up winning the whole thing. I'm going to go Niels here. I'm going to take him 3-2.
Michael Smith is a great shame to me because when he is on, he is one of the most naturally talented people I've seen to throw a dart. When he's on 1-2-1 and he's just going boom, 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 it's so good to watch. And it's such a shame for him and for ourselves as darts fans selfishly that's been so short-lived. And I don't know if I'm just trying to hope it into existence here. I'm going to go Smith 3-2. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think there's going to be some ugly moments in there. But I'm just hoping that we can see a flash of that bully boy that we've seen that lifted the worlds and won many titles. So I'm going to disagree with you there, Dave. I'm going to go the other way. 3-2, the bully boy. What have we got in the chat? Bobsy, bully boy, 3-1. Daly Atkinson, Smith 3-2 because both players are prone to having absolute wobble games at the minute. Smith 3-1, Smith 3-2, and then Stockport Mackham, Zonneveld 3-1, sadly. Agreeing that Smith's struggles will continue. The next match, make sure you tune into the Fallout Bar tomorrow evening, folks. We'll either see an extremely happy Dan Simpson or he might need a little bit of commiserations depending on the outcome of this one. We have Chris Hollywood Dobie versus Goldfinger, Andrew Gilden. I'll go first on this one. I think Dobie struggles on the outer ring in the first match. And once Gilden is in that 80 to 100 range, I think that's going to be the difference. I'm going to see a Gilden 3-1. I think he's just going to be so much more neat and tidy at the end of legs.
Yeah, you just don't get that with Andrew. He's whether it's at the same level or not, he's just a much more consistent player than Chris Dobie is, and that scares me. It's just natural, it's human instinct. Backing someone who is, you just don't. It's kind of a bag of tricks. You just don't know who you're going to get, and I can't get out of my head Chris Dobie at the Grand Slam missing. Was it 11 match darts?
Yeah.
Oh my good. Like, I can't, and I'm sure, like, that's me, a guy across the pond watching him. What do you think Chris Dobie feels? I just worry if this goes 5 sets and he's got a huge double late in the match, like, do you back him to hit it? I just don't.
The thing is, as well, with Gilden, I think he's going to punish when Dobie misses as well, it's just going to compound it. Dobie, scoring wise, will get more darts at a double than Gilden. I'm pretty confident in seeing that. But I think when Gilden misses, there'll be times Dobie doesn't punish. And I just can't see that happening the other round. I think Gilden will be more punishing when Dobie misses than the other way.
And it feels like, Gurney versus Bo today, where the stats lean towards, that one wasn't quite as much, but Bo was favored when it started, and the stats kind of, point towards that. But there's just that timing, that clutch gene, that Gilding, he just always seems to, last start in hand, other guys maybe on a 2-darter, and he can just pin it. And if we get down to, like, they're both on 1-2-1 and it's for the match, I just think I would honestly, I think I'd rather be backing Andrew Gilding in that spot, which is crazy to say because Chris is such a fantastic player. I'm gonna go Andrew Gilding. I'm gonna go Andrew Gilding 3-2.
3-2. I'm going 3-1. See what the chat's saying. We've got Bobsy Gilding 3-2. Won't be a quick game. Daly Atkinson, Dan Simpson will either be drunk happy or drunk crying into his glass. You will have to tune in tomorrow, folks, to find out. Dobie 3-1, Gilding 3-1, death of 1,000 doubles. Gilding 3-2. Dobie, this one's dividing the chat a little bit. Dobie 3-2. We've got some Dobie fans in there. So, yeah, that one is a real divisive one. I think ear game versus ear game, it's Dobie, but I just think Gildon's very hard to beat in set play.
The only way Dobie will be able to get away with missing some doubles, his scoring just has to be all over it. And he buys himself some time with his power scoring, but if it's an inch off and he's doing what he did against Zong in the first round, Gilding he'll make him pay. He's a professional.
If Gilding can stay in range, it's a tough one.
Yep.
And I thought his scoring wasn't too bad in the first game as well. It wasn't Chris Dobie level, but it was good enough to get him where he needs to be to win legs.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to what is, I believe, unless anything changes scheduling wise, going to be the final game of the evening. Unfortunately, we have the People's Champion, Stephen Bunton, versus Nitin Kumar. What are we thinking for this one? Dave, I'll let you go first.
So I am probably going to back Nitin Kumar, like, with my own dollar. I'm going to bet Nitin Kumar, I think, to win a set. Because Steven struggles. We saw it against Alexis Toilo at the Slam. We've seen it in other major TV events. He struggles to put together, and we saw it in the first round. He can't put together a full match. He has these random sets or lulls, handful of legs, where he's like in the 80s. He's missing doubles. He's leaking into the 1s and 5s, and he's the reason why this section feels so open to everyone, because he is just, even with MVG not at his best, Steven's just like the least menacing top seed in a region. I don't think he scares anyone, which is, it's a little hard.
Anyone that's not seeded going into that is like, this could be my night.
Yeah. So I think Steven wins. I'll go 3-1, but I could see Kumar winning. I'm not going to say which one. It's easy to say the first because that seems like the most common where an underdog maybe can pick off the first set. But I think he just has these lulls where you get caught out for too long when he's playing someone better. You can get away with it against someone like Sebastian Bialetti or, Nitin Kumar. But, man, if he gets Dirk in that third round, Dirk could bury him. It's very possible.
Yeah, it could be a whitewash. I'm going to agree, though. I'm going to go Bunton. I think he'll get the whitewash. I think there might be a few close sets in there. But as much as I don't trust Bunton to hit a double to save my life, I think the pressure might get a little bit of Kumar, and I think Bunton will tidy up. I think it'll be a scrappy affair. Let's see what our viewers are thinking. Bobsy, Bunton will play much better than he did first round and get through 3-1, mid-90 average. 3-0 Bunton. Bob is just Bob with the absolute shout. Kumar 3-2. Massive shock with lower average. Remember this. Go to the boogies if you're that confident, Bobby. There's your Christmas sorted. Daly Atkinson. Kumar 3-2 because I'm going to will it into existence. Bunton 3-1. Bunton inconsistency. It will bother Bunton that the crowd will back Kumar, so I'm seeing 3-2 Kumar.
That's a very good point from Rebecca. I can't, I'm probably forgetting one, but I can't think of another matchup from the first round where we went into it and we weren't sure who the crowd was going to be behind. And this is one of those where I really don't know. I think they'll go for whoever's winning. Like if someone wins a set, they're all going to go bananas anyway. But
like
that is fascinating.
Kumar hits a ton plus checkout in the first set, it might spin very quickly. Or hits a 180 and just shows a little bit of fight.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, when was the last time Steven was at a major tournament and, maybe against Littler, like where the crowd wasn't on his side? It just doesn't happen to him very often. So that could be foreign to him, especially if he drops that first set and the place is going nuts. That could throw him off. I don't know. He's the people's champ, So
the people's champ. We will see. We will find out tomorrow evening. And we'll just briefly gloss over what's happened just in case the viewers aren't aware. I'm sure they are. But the last match of the evening was meant to be Johnny Clayton versus Dom Taylor. Clayton gets a bye into the third round, and we'll not see him till after Christmas. Before we go into the slightly more serious side of things, do you think that'll affect Clayton in any way? The fact that he hasn't had this opportunity to get the match practice in?
I would think so. Yeah. Just sitting around. I mean, his match against Adam Lipscomb was how long ago? Oh man, it all blends together. Like
I can only remember it the other time.
I got it right here. Let me see if I can find the time or the day it was. It was on Monday. And now he will play. I believe he was supposed to play on Saturday, tomorrow. Yeah. So that's 5 days. So, if it's after Christmas, here we go. I mean, I don't know if this is right. Wikipedia has him playing on Sunday, the 28th. So that is it's going to be approximately a 2-week layoff. That's a long time. And Adam he pushed him early. And he coasted. So I can't, I don't think it'll help him. It's, he's a professional. I mean, all these guys went 2-3 weeks before the tournament started.
Yeah.
But it's hard to switch it on for that first round. And then now you're just kind of switching it off, I guess. And so, I could see that maybe affecting him in the first set against either Michael Smith or Neil Zonneveld. But I'm disappointed because this was one of those second round matches I was really looking forward to watching.
No, on a slightly more serious note, the reason it's not happening is Dom Taylor looks as though he's flagged for some form of substance. I haven't seen it confirmed exactly what that was on initial reports, so I don't think it's fair to speculate too deeply at this moment. It doesn't look good given recent history. Obviously, I think he's just come off the back of serving was it a 1-month ban he was given?
Believe so. Yeah, it forced him to miss the Players Finals and Worlds last year. He came back around January. So he had such a good floor year. I thought he got his average is up there among the tour card holders. He had a good floor year, and I think he got really unlucky. He was running into a lot of ton plus averages that were knocking him out when he was playing really well. I backed him as the dark horse in this. This is within that bunting region of anyone could win it. I had a little flyer on him at 25-1 to come out of this region, which is really disappointing because I thought, I mean, he's got to be looking at this little half that he's in. It was him versus Johnny, who's playing well but is beatable. Smith-Zonneveld, Harrison, Sakai, Chisnell, Pietreczko.
I mean, he could have put a decent amount of money on his ranking there.
Oh,
really,
my goodness.
He
could have walked away with that. And then, your biggest threat on the other side is Stephen Bunting, who we just spoke on. He could beat Stephen Bunting. I wouldn't find that absurd. It would be an upset, but yeah, really, really frustrating. I hope, given that this is a repeat offense, I'm hoping he gets the help he needs because that's what it sounds like. Sounds like that kind of situation. Again, we don't want to speculate, but if it is something like that, I hope while they can, the DRA and the PDC can hand him a suspension, I really hope he gets the help he needs because he's a real talent and it's shown on the floor. And it looked like the way he handled Oscar, that it was starting to show on the big stage and just horrible timing for his career.
Yeah, that's it. I just want to echo what you said. He's not defending what's happened or what hasn't happened. We don't know, but he's a young man at the end of the day. I'm sure in our younger days, we've all made mistakes, things that we regret. He has done it twice now, which doesn't look good. So we wish you the best, Dom. You're going to have to serve your time and take your punishment, but we hope you can get past it and come back.
And then the flip side is it may save Stephen Burton's tour card. I mean, he walked off the stage in the first round and thought it was over and he was going to have to go to Q school. And now I believe he sits in the 64th position if Dom ends up losing some prize money from this and doesn't retain his. And there's ripple effects to this for sure. A lot of people were clamoring for Oscar Lukasiak to get a shot at Johnny tomorrow in the second round. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I would imagine that would have been announced by now. I'm sure Oscar is back in Sweden. But yeah, a lot of ripple effects, which is, I'm sure Dom wasn't
full picture of how it's going to play out quite yet. But.
Yeah. And I'm sure Dom, he obviously wasn't doing this with any intent to screw anyone over, but it's what happens. It's very, rare, but it's a walkover and Johnny's on to the third round.
Play silly games, win silly prizes, unfortunately. But that has been the Fallout Bar for this evening, folks. Before we go, Dave, is there anything you want to end with?
No, I think we did well to get everything covered. So excited for the second round. This was an all-time first round. We have a great mixture of, enough strong players got through to keep this thing exciting and maybe give us some really exciting fourth round, quarterfinal, semifinal ties, but there's enough fun stories. It feels like a perfect balance of fun stories and then, not too many upsets to the point where there's no quality in this round. So yeah, tons of variety to go around and excited to see what we get going into the Christmas break.
Bring on round two and some top quality games. I'm looking forward. Thank you so much for all the viewers. I'm sorry if we weren't as interactive with the chat as usual. I am not Dan Simpson. I can only aspire to be that good. But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. You've been legends. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good evening, and we will see you tomorrow live on the Fallout Bar after the last dart is thrown. Thank you.
Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championship.